Whether you like it or not, people are always trying to control you and get you to do certain things. It's fine when people are trying to persuade you, but you need to watch out if they are trying to manipulate you. There's a very fine line between persuasion and manipulation. You might run into someone that doesn't have your best interests in mind, so here are 7 signs someone is trying to manipulate you. 1. You fear abandonment. In a normal, healthy relationship, there shouldn't be any fear. A clear sign you're being manipulated is that if you ever feel that, if you don't do what that person says or wants, they will leave you or hurt you. People compromise and talk things over in a normal and healthy relationship. Manipulators will use the threat of abandonment to control you. If you feel like you will get abandoned or hurt if things don't go their way, you need to get out of the relationship. 2. The other person tries to isolate you. Isolation is dangerous because it makes you vulnerable to being manipulated. You won't be able to get opinions from other people that something is seriously wrong once you're isolated. This is the biggest red flag that someone is trying to manipulate you. If you don't have anyone else to turn to, the manipulator has an easy time controlling you. A manipulator will always try to isolate you and make you depend on them. A common way people try to isolate you is to make up reasons why you shouldn't see friends and family. There are no good reasons why you shouldn't see friends or family. You should always have the freedom to see friends and family. Another common tactic is when they insist on having as much one-on-one time as possible. While one-on-one time is an important part of any relationship, if all your time is spent with that one person and you don't have time for other relationships, something might be wrong. Either you're not managing your relationships correctly, or they're trying to isolate you without you realizing it. 3. They make you doubt your reality. When someone gaslights you, they twist the truth to get you to question your own sanity. An example of gaslighting in effect is when someone pretends that they didn't say something that hurt you in the past, even though they did so in the past. When you start doubting yourself, it's easy for a manipulator to get you to do what they want. Gaslighting is dangerous, and it's a form of emotional abuse. If you're questioning your own sanity, you need to seek help and get out the relationship. 4. They play the victim card. Whenever you get into a fight with a manipulator, they love playing the victim. They will always try to make it seem that it is your fault. They never think they're in the wrong, so they never take responsibility for their actions. Once they get you apologizing, they will try to get you to do what they want. If you find that you're constantly apologizing and doing things for them to make up for your mistakes, you need to start reflecting and getting a second opinion. Either you're messing up big time, or they're playing the victim to manipulate you. 5. They always try to be the center of attention. Manipulators always want the spotlight. If you're talking about something you experienced, they will direct the conversation to something about them. If you're talking about your problems, they will change the subject to the problems they are going through. If you're talking about the good things happening in your life, they will change the subject to something about them. This might not be a definitive sign that you're dealing with someone trying to manipulate you. You might just be dealing with a narcissist, but you probably want to avoid those types of people anyways. 6. They trap you against your own position. The most common way they do this is by using the phrase, "but you said." This is a sketchy persuasion tactic that's probably closer to manipulation. You might have encountered this when you had to deal with an aggressive salesperson. That salesperson will ask you some questions like, "Do you like these types of cars? Do you want to save some money off your next car purchase?" Once you answer yes to those questions, they would say something like, "Since you said yes to all of these things, you should do this." When you say no, they would use some version of the phrase, "but you said." You can't fight back logically because they wanted to trap you and they planned for this to happen. If this happens to you like once or twice in your relationship, it's probably something you don't need to worry about. But if you find that they constantly trap you in order to get you to do certain things, that is a red flag. If that person has a background in sales, marketing, or something related, talk to them about it to see if they're just going back to things they were taught. 7. They play on your fear of loss. People are more afraid of what they stand to lose than what they stand to gain. This is a persuasion tactic that can also turn manipulative. An example of this being used for persuasion is when someone wants to quit their job to start a business, but their friends and family tell them that they're throwing away their career and everything they worked for. When someone only focuses on what they stand to lose, they often can't make the change they want An example of this being used to manipulate is when someone says, "Don't throw away everything we built in this relationship," to try to get you to stay. Depending on the context, they might be trying to force you to stay in a relationship you don't want to be in. If someone is playing on your fear of loss, try to figure out if they have your best intentions in mind or not. As mentioned before, there's a very fine line between persuasion and manipulation. I strongly recommend you to learn more about persuasion so you can better understand the difference. Have you ever felt manipulated? Leave a comment below and check out the video on the end screen about how to deal with the silent treatment, since that is another manipulation tactic you should watch out for.